It's been over a year since I went out and bought the cheapest Corvette ZR1 I could find, and it was fast. It just wasn't fast enough. So naturally, we built an engine for it, installed a massive Kong Performance supercharger, put all the Legos back together, and fired it up. To an oil pressure reading of 0. No big deal. After replacing the oil pressure sensor, I gave it another shot, and well, we still have absolutely 0 oil pressure. Yeah, it's not where I thought this was going either. Before we stick our oil pressure tester in there, I want to do one thing to at least put us in the right direction here. We're going to fix our intake. We're going to go ahead and flip the throttle body, raise it up, and hopefully give it the clearance it needs. The good news, flipping the throttle body worked. It gave us all the clearance we need, I hope. The bad news, when we flipped it, we moved the motor onto the wrong side. I can quite literally play guitar on the wiring harness right now. We desperately need an extension harness, but we did, you know, stretch on it a little bit and get it to fit. Fancy new intake, awesome, great, cool. Not gonna do us any good if we have to rip it right back off to pull this engine out, so I guess it's about time we get down to business. Yeah, I get it. Shut up. Last video wasn't great. Things didn't go well, and they definitely didn't end well. This time, it started pretty f***ing awesome. Look, we obviously have a ton of work left to do, but not one of those things is anywhere near the level of painful as pulling out this engine.
I do not expect it to be this loud.
Absolutely not. It is deafening. Deafening. I mean that. But I suppose we got what we asked for when we decided to not run mufflers. We got oil pressure, Doc.
It's easily the loudest car we've ever had.
It's horrific.
I was at my computer, which is through a wall and easily 60 feet away, and I jumped right when it, because it didn't sound like it cranked. It sounded like it literally just fired, and I was just like, what the hell was that? It sounded like somebody hit the wall with something.
If you can't tell by how excited I am, that was all the motivation I needed to get cracking on this thing and get it back on the road. I suppose now that we have it running, it's only fair that we knock out another system. Then we'll diagnose the absolute shit show going on here. One easy thing, easy-ish thing, and then we bang our heads against the wall for 3 days straight. The lucky winner of today's easy task, the intercooler system. Oh, I love that. Before we start just throwing lines anywhere, how this works is there's a pump down in there. It's integrated into the actual tank, which is an awesome design. This guy here is the feed. Everything comes up from the bottom, goes there, and then it's gonna go all the way up the passenger side rocker into the blower way up there. After it makes its way through the supercharger and our new cooler that we just installed, it's gonna come down the driver's rocker and come back into here. Don't know if you can see it, but that's where that leads right there. That's our return. Synergy's put together an awesome tank with an integrated pump and a wiring harness. The only thing we need to do, connect it to the battery right there, and then this long black and purple wire we run all the way up to the front and connect it to the stock pump trigger. Oh. Good news with this wire is I can just zip tie it to this water hose all the way up. Realistically, working with big lines like this is almost always a pain, but this kit's been really nice. The idea with these is once we get the fender liner in, they're gonna tuck up there just like that and ultimately come down right there by that fuel pump. It's gonna run up through the rocker panel and well, you'll see the rest. Because of this super tight turn here, we also had to order a couple molded elbows. I took a shot with 2 of them from Dayco. That was the winner right there. Oh yeah, tight fit, just what you want. Keep in mind, guys, this is a massive line to be routing through an engine bay. And originally, I wasn't happy with how it was done. It was on the outside of the power steering reservoir. It just looked clunky. You know, I had to bust out those below average fabrication skills and modify the power steering pump reservoir a little bit. I think that this is gonna let us run it under the bracket and clean it up a lot. And if it doesn't, well, I just cut that hose like 6 inches too short, so we're kind of gonna be screwed. It's nice when things work out, even when you do it the stupid way. It actually worked out exactly how I planned it. I do want to pull it out and shave that lip down right there just a little more so it doesn't rub through. It's a tight fit, but it works. We got the simple side down over there. Now we get to mess with the slightly more complex side. 4 lines, a lot more fittings. First, we get to put our new GM coolant line on. If I can actually get it on. There we go. 1 attachment, 2 attachment, 3 attachment. Absolute pain to get on. Lots of heat, lots of lube, and 2 guys. I do plan to clean up the routing of these lines a little bit, but for now, we have to head, get some supplies, and dump a lot, and I do mean a lot of coolant in this car, both in the intercooler system and the radiator, and then we get to look at all our leaks and find out exactly where we screwed up. Cinder. Takes a second. As you might imagine in this build, we're having another issue. For whatever reason, there is no signal going to the pump back there, triggering it to come on. That little blurry connector down there, that's for the stock intercooler pump, and you just jump a wire off that, send it back there, and it's good to go. Unfortunately, without a signal, we have no way of turning that pump on whatsoever. It looks like we have ourselves an issue with the intercooler pump relay. We've been at this for some time, and it might not look like we know what we're doing, and that's because we don't. But if I touch this wire here to a ground, when you do that, after a few seconds, the problem we're gonna run into here is we can't have Fernando sit here and hold this while we're driving the car. It does not work. What we're actually replicating with this mess is the signal that's supposed to be coming from the ECU down to that relay. We don't have that. Even if we get into the ECU and turn the intercooler pump on, it's absolutely nothing. Because of the issues we're having, I decided to pull the ECU, make sure all the pins are fine, make sure the connectors look fine. Everything's pinned correctly, there's no obvious damage to it, and there's not. At this point, all I could do was give them a cleaning and hope for the best. Go ahead and key it on, and if I hear that relay click on, I'm gonna do a f***ing backflip, all right? Okay, no, I'm not really. No. Key it on. I couldn't tell if it was that when there's so much other stuff going on. No. Well, it was a valiant effort back to the drawing board. We're, I don't know, 10 hours into diagnosing this thing. It's just not going our way. Unfortunately, I'm kind of out of ideas at the current moment. I've spent an obscene amount of time looking at pinouts, searching over every inch of this car. I don't know. So I did what I normally do. And I spent too much money and bought another ZR1. Okay, yeah, it's rough. And maybe I didn't buy it just to fix this car, but at least this area over here, the modules, even an ECU, the fuse box, maybe, probably not if I'm being honest, it's gonna have some parts that we can start swapping out. At the very least, it's gonna give us somewhere to go next. The fact that the ECU isn't sending the signal down there, along with all the other codes we have, I think it's something bigger than just a failed sensor somewhere. That car's not gonna be here for a couple days, and I definitely need this lift space, so we are kind of going to be forced into taking this car for its first drive. We are going to finish bleeding the heat exchanger system. Of course, we are going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. And yes, I do mean by Fernando holding the ground to the frame rail. We are going to fill this car with actual coolant as well and do the power steering system. So at least it's not a complete loss of a Saturday. One of the other positives we have today, we did get our throttle body extension harness so we can stick that thing on. There we go. Now that I'm hearing this thing for the first time, I'm not sure how nice it's gonna be with my head like 3 feet away, but hey, power, baby.
It actually sounds like a waterfall.
Definitely not the day I imagined, but we're still about to drive the car for the very first time, even if it is only outside into a massive storm, but I'm still excited about it. This car does not want to be driven. This is, f this thing, but I love it, but I don't know.
What a love and hate. This is the best representation that we can have.
This car was supposed to be the easy one. That's the bad part. You guys know I'm not a negative person. This car. Come inside, you can't hear anything out there. It is almost too loud, but it sounds awesome. Guys, this is the first time I've driven this thing in, you already know the story. It's been a long time. As frustrating as this has been, I'm super excited for it, and I'll catch back up with you very shortly once we get that other ZR1 in.
I thought you were supposed to be buying a nicer one.
I already have one of those. So somehow I saw this and was like, yeah, this is exactly what I need to fix mine. Nice auxiliary pump. Okay. I'm hoping that maybe, possibly, some way, somehow, there's something in here that's gonna help us solve this problem. Well, if it's not obvious, we have the car pretty much completely apart. I've been trying everything. I put this new suspension module in, no luck. I have sandpaper there, I've went around and cleaned every ground, also no luck. I tried a new relay, you know where this is going, no luck. But then when I went to put the original relay back in, I think I found something. This entire time, the relay wirings looked intact, but then I pulled on it just a little bit, and that happened. The pink trigger wire we've been worried about this whole time looks like it may have just broke. Question is, did I just break it, or has it been broken but in the terminal all along and I just didn't realize it? Now, if there's any question about why we're working on the car in the parking lot, well, the Demon's taking priority, the Porsche's been in here, the shop's just full, so the parking lot it is. But the little bit of good news we have here, this harness is absolutely toasted, which means it's no problem for us to cut this connector off and salvage what we need. It really seems like all the wires in here are loose. Check out the one that has tension on it. The pink one. Loose, loose, cut, cut. That has tension on it. I can actually see how that broke.
It have to work.
Don't say that, because then it's not gonna.
It's just what it is. I don't know if you realize how much time we actually have with this thing, you know? We are tick-tock, tick-tock.
Yeah. You guys don't know it yet, but Race Motive, 9 days? 9 days. It needs to get tuned. We need to button this thing up completely, and we need to bust everyone's ass. So, here we go. We will probably repair that if it works. I've been out here for about an hour. I'm getting a little tan. I'm going to let you give it a shot, see if you can fix this thing.
You're just going to put all the pressure on me right
Yes.
now, right?
That's exactly what I'm doing. If it works, I get all the credit. If it doesn't work, it's all Fernando's fault.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, it's on.
It's on! Let's go! Alright,
I take the credit. I take the credit. I fix it.
I did just think of one horrific downside, Fernando.
What?
We spent 15 grand on that ZR1 to try to fix this issue, and it was a broken wire. So there's that. Now I just need to clean up this mess, clean up this mess that we have going on here, get the ECU, I guess, back in the fender, and then we drive it. I did just say we had a mess to clean up. I'm probably gonna jinx stuff right now, but I don't think that mess is gonna be that big. It seems, for whatever reason, that when I fixed that relay wiring down there, all the check engine lights disappeared. There's quite literally not one light on the dash right now that shouldn't be lit. Not only do we have a working intercore pump and no check engine lights, there is more good news. Which, yes, I understand it is hard to believe on this pile of trash, but I don't see one single leak. Not on the intercooler system, which of course we're testing for the first time. Not on the actual coolant system, which just came up to 220 degrees for the first time. Not power steering, not oil. Fernando, no leaks. Which of course means if we're able to finish the rest of this stuff up tonight and tomorrow, that by tomorrow night, we can have old girl on the street. When you're at least hopefully wrapping up a build like this, there is a ton of boring stuff we need to do. Fender liners, ducts. It's no fun. I'm not going to worry about it right now. What is fun though is drilling into the frame of a $120,000 MSRP car.
Wait, what?
Now, of course, we're not just doing this for fun, even though it is very fun. We need to mount this fuel line to something solid here. I mounted it to the frame on my last car. We're going to do the same thing on this one. Of course, we're gonna stick it in there with a good old riv nut. Make sure she threads in. Gucci. Nice little clamp we just stole from Alex. As sketchy as that might have seemed from the jump, it's actually a pretty legitimate solution. The last thing we want is this fuel hose coming back, rubbing the tire, and making the car go up in flames. If you guys have watched the earlier episodes, you know that's not the only thing we have left to mount. Actually, there is just one more thing we have to do before we get to that.
What are you doing?
That'll do. It was broken. It was bent down. You see this? Insurance marked it at some point. Just doing my part to keep this car nice. Ever since Fernando and I's, what should we call it? Debacle with this power steering cooler, it's just been zip tied up. It's been some time. I forget where this bad boy mounts if we're being honest here. I did put a riv nut on this side and mount it. That still leaves this side over here just flopping around. The line's hanging down. We need to fix that now. As for what we're gonna make our bracket out of, we have some metal. Some of it's actually pretty thick. We have some angle with holes drilled in it already. I was looking at this stuff and I figured it's just not OEM enough. What better option than to take what we need from the other ZR1? What's that old saying, Fernando?
Nothing like OEM parts?
It's exactly what they meant. And there you have it. One power steering cooler installed that's absolutely indistinguishable from OEM. All right, maybe indistinguishable was a little strong, but we got it done. We tied these guys up here so they're no longer hanging down low. That should be in a good spot where they're not gonna get ripped off. At the very least, it's functional, it's tucked up in there nice. I'm digging it. Now on to the next thing. This is something that fell off in the parking lot, technically, during a windstorm. If I recall correctly, Fernando, did we come in here and this thing was like halfway up the parking lot one Saturday morning?
Yes.
Yeah. Somehow it survived, and now we got to attach it back to the car. I actually forgot how bad a condition the side skirt was in when I got the car, and then blowing down the parking lot certainly didn't help. And then Fernando just picked this up. There's black overspray above the side skirt. I don't know what's going on with that. This car is just a pile of trash.
No, it's not.
It's junk.
It's a 0-1.
It's junk.
It's a 0-1.
We both know it's junk.
Nice.
Pretty much all series, you've watched us install nice new parts on this car. This is not one of those. This is a very heavily used catch can. I bought for the cheap because it's just a catch can. I mean, why not? These filters are in terrible shape. Nah, they're all right. Fine, let's run them. I actually did run this same catch can on my Inferno ZR1, and it's a really nice piece. That's where our drain comes out right there. Once we get the catch can mounted up, we just tuck it somewhere in here, and every time we need to open it, we just hit it like that, and in this case, a little bit of water comes out. That's not actually what's supposed to be in there, but hey, it didn't come out of our engine. Obviously, with so much other stuff going on over here, the power lines, the water lines, we want to be very careful not to crush anything and make sure nothing's rubbing the wrong way, nothing's going to catch on fire, nothing's going to wear through. Very, very important in this really tight corner of a C6. There we are. Not a bad install whatsoever. This is actually an older version of the dedicated motorsports can. They changed it up now. They do something different, but for whatever reason, I still really prefer this one. Fernando, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Is it time to bust out something really cool, but also very, very irrelevant? Yes, it is the answer I'm looking for. Yes, it is. We'll be right back. Something I've been looking for a very long time, an OEM ZR1 logo airbag. Problem is, I've never even seen one for sale before. Luckily, the other day, Alex found one online. He bought it for me immediately, and it was dirt cheap as well. Did you just jump?
Yeah.
You just jumped. What's wrong with you?
I was nervous.
Looked a lot cooler in theory. It's just the ZR1 logo. But enough talk about airbags. The only thing left to do now is button this car up. Fender liners, that kind of garbage, and then we get to drive this car for the first time in over a year. For as much of a struggle as this car's been pretty much the entire build, today went smooth. I do find it a little odd that you didn't bring a fire extinguisher for the first ride in the Porsche, yet the Corvette apparently needs one.
You just say it. What's a Porsche? This is a Corvette.
I don't know what you're getting at. This is American muscle. These things don't catch on fire, as we just bought one that's on fire.
Exactly.
All right, point taken, let's go. I don't know that there's a good spot, like windows up, windows down, to actually have you guys hear what we're saying. This car's ignorant. Ignorant.
It's a race car. That's supposed to be, right?
This is the only time, and I mean the only time you guys are ever gonna hear me say a car might be too loud. I can't even think in this car. I really cannot think.
I think that's what race cars are supposed to be, because all the money that you tap into it, do you want to think about it? You just want to forget about everything. Ah!
I literally, man, I can just shut you up anytime I want.
Wow!
We're not going far because the alignment's not good at all. We'll save that for next video. The highway driving, the dyno, the racetrack, all that stuff. It needs a tune for sure. Like,
Yes.
It's when you lay into the gas, it stutters a little bit. But either way, it's been a year, or it's been more than a year. I took this car apart in 2021. It was like the last week of 2021, but it still counts.
Yeah, right?
It drives. And it drives good, other than them needing a tune.
God.
Okay. I don't see any leaks. I don't even see any smoke, and somehow don't even smell anything weird, which is actually quite concerning. Not only that, but Fernando, she's not sky high anymore. check that out. Some of you guys probably remember how high this thing sat when we first got it on the ground. It just looked off. I guess we just needed to take it for a ride and all's well. While we're nowhere close to done, we have the dyno and its first track event this week. This has been a wild month. I don't know that I've ever finished 2 massive builds like this in the same month. I think the perfect way to wrap this up is to have you guys go down in the comments right now, guess how much power this car is making. You're not gonna see it in this video, you'll see it next video so you guys can't cheat, but the person that gets closest, I don't know, what do we send them, Fernando?
Sticker.
Gotta be better than the sticker. A sticker, really, for guessing how much horsepower this car is gonna make?
It's Cry Life Garage sticker.
1 sticker. We'll send them a sticker and something cool off that Fire ZR1. I'll find a cool piece of merch, something that I was gonna use as wall art, and send it one of your guys' way. But as of right now, I'm gonna try something a little different and go home before it's pitch black out. This is the jokes are, I'm not even gonna, I'm just not gonna do it. Is that something that says you have a throttle body extension sitting somewhere? No. Hopefully that's gonna let us join them together with the leak. Or what the f am I even talking about?
Before?
What are you doing?
I literally just got it the minute we put this on the tripod. It had, maybe not. Thought I did. Oh, yeah, it's gonna be beeping the whole time. People are gonna be like, why didn't you f***ing disconnect the battery? What are you talking about? Yeah, I apologize for whoever's neighborhood I'm driving through right now. If you watch this video, smash that like button, you know what I mean?
And subscribe!
Yeah,